In 1997, the Lusty Lady in San Francisco became the first strip club to be unionized by its workers, who won big improvements to their pay and conditions. Not content to stop there, they later took over the club and ran it as the world's first worker-controlled strip joint. This is working class history. Today, dancers continue to be massively exploited by employers who take advantage of their contractor status and various legal mechanisms to eat into their pay.
You cannot charge a person to work for you, and they've gotten away with this in the sex industry for decades. I've been a stripper now for 26 years, and this hasn't changed. This thing where the strip club owners find loopholes in order to charge the worker to work at the place. They call it stage fees or mandatory tip out. They have various titles, but don't be confused by the titles. It's literally wage theft. There's a lot of ways they do this, but literally what it is, simply put, the easiest way to put it is that they're just charging workers to work there. What I would equate it to is they're trying to treat us like hairdressers that charge you for the chair, for example, to come in and use the salon, and you have a receptionist and you have somebody washing towels, but you're charged sort of rent. We're not doing that. We're not selling your product, and we're not cutting hair. We're not coming into the strip club and building shelves. We are literally entertainers. So it's sort of like we have more in common with actors and dancers, ballet dancers, than we do bartenders, because we're not moving a product. We're ourselves. We're coming in and providing our own music. The money that it takes to be an entertainer is colossal. The hair, the gas. I work at a club that's an hour and 40 minutes away. The driving, the shoes, all of it, the maintenance of a performer. And they've gotten away with this for 30 years or more, charging women to dance there. And it has to do with this, for lack of a better word, pimp mentality, which is that you're my product, so I get half of what you're making out there. How does this make sense? It's because it's women's work. It's because it's women doing the work that they feel entitled to our bodies. This is about feminism, and this is about a system that has historically exploited us. And the system has to change. And the way to change it is to unionize.
On the subject of feminism, while most feminists see sex workers organising as an important part of the movement for women's liberation, some virulently oppose it. So, for example, when we at WCH have shared the organising manual that Lusty Lady workers put together to help other dancers organise, we've received a lot of comments from these feminists saying we should take it down and that it's wrong to support women in the sex industry organising for better conditions.
I say that's not real feminism. It's just toxic masculinity disguised as giving a shit for women's health. It's not real solidarity. It's not real feminism. I don't know if you've heard this term, but we call those SWERFs, which are sex worker exclusionary radical feminists. You're not really a feminist if you're not actually supporting all women.
I think that they don't understand sex work or what it's like. They're mixing it up with trafficking, and they think that everyone who does sex work hates it, doesn't want to do it, wouldn't choose it, only does it because have no other choices. But I danced for about 15 years and I loved it. If I wasn't old and my knees weren't crackly, I would still be doing it. I love dancing. I love stripping. I love everything about it.
This is about feminists who don't know what they're talking about, who think that sex work is something in which we are doing under duress or some system of coercion, and that's not the case. It's a funny expectation that because I'm an entertainer, would you ask an actor, oh, did you have fun at your job today? Was it fun? Oh, if it's not fun, then why are you doing it? It's like, guess what? It's work. It's complex. No, I don't always love my job. We're allowed to not have fun at our jobs, and we have every right to make a living and to have a sane and safe work environment. It's called work. You show up, you suit up, and you do your job. And there's a very strange expectation of sex workers that we have to be there having fun. And it has to do with a serious delusional confusion about what sex work is and what work is and how we look and think about work and what we think of women's work and what we think of the sex industry and the stigma there.
And of course, that's completely right. If work was so great, employers wouldn't have to pay us to turn up. And plenty of us hate our jobs, at least sometimes, but that doesn't mean we shouldn't organise to make things better, and the sex industry is no different. And if you do oppose sex workers organising, it basically just means you're supporting pimps and strip club bosses making bigger profits and treating women worse. So really, that perspective doesn't make any logical sense. Now, some recent legal developments in the industry in the US may open up new possibilities for workers.
Today in California, and I believe also Washington State, now we are no longer classified as independent contractors, but we're now employees. This is a rare window of opportunity we have it's a slam dunk to unionize right now and change the system, which is incredibly exploitive. And we can do that now. We can do it if they change the law, and there are moves being made by corporations and tech companies because they want to take away workers' rights. It's about having workers' rights and getting those human rights pieces in our workforce and being able to fight for healthy, sane, safe working conditions. And you can do that if you unionize, and it's very, very hard to do that if you don't. And so now we have the ability to do that. Literally April 30th, in California, we're now employees. I've been quietly watching this change and quietly hoping to do this. And finally, we are trying to do this. I have a group called Soldiers of Pole, SOP. And we have a talk every Wednesday night where California strippers can virtually join the discussion and find out what we can do at the clubs and our steps forward to unionize. And we've retained a lawyer and we're looking for backing, and we have 4 interested unions right now that we're talking to.
For Antonia, the struggle for better paying conditions in the sex industry continues.
I'm directing a documentary about the effort that we're doing now, the organizing labor effort that strippers in California particularly are doing now, called Soldiers of Pole. I have an incredible crew. Molly Stewart is my DP. She's award-winning, and she's 25. She's just incredible. And Jed Bell, and I have this incredible crew, and we are actually filming the women of a certain Lusty Lady vintage and bringing them along, and it's about women helping other women. It's about the Lusty Lady women helping today's women, and the conversation about labor and how we can lift other women up in this workforce and what that looks like. It's a roller coaster ride right now because every time I go into work, it's different. It's getting worse in the corporate clubs, I'll say. The clubs are really doing everything they can to commit fraud and to steal the minimum wage paycheck money because they've been evading federal and state taxes forever. And so they are actually stealing the money from the women's paychecks. And so these things are happening every day, and we're documenting that process. And most importantly, how women are unifying and the conversations that we're having with each other, trying to improve this workforce together. Hopefully, we will, again, have some successes. It's the tiny successes that happen, and you almost don't even see it happening while it's going on. We just show up and listen to one another and just keep building and building until things change. You got to play the long game, which is what unionizing is about. It's playing the long game.
Shortly after our interview, Antonia helped organise a strike of dancers at the Crazy Girls Hollywood Club in LA against wage theft and sexual harassment on Friday the 22nd of February 2019.
We're not gonna pay to work. If you wanna see us twerk, we're not gonna pay to work. If you wanna see us twerk, we're not gonna pay to work.
And her taste of that pioneering victory at the Lusty Lady continues to inspire her efforts today.
It felt awesome to be a part of the coolest women in the world. It was really, really triumphant. It was definitely a win.
Those experiences of the organising campaign and the work of self-management afterwards also had a transformative impact on everyone else involved.
I will probably never go back to working for another straight job again. I mean, at this point, it's pretty much impossible due to mental health reasons for me. But that's also why the Lusty Lady changed my life. It taught me that I deserve to work in an environment that meets my accessibility needs. And if a job doesn't do that, I should not have to force myself to do that.
Whenever dancers do anything that any other job does, it gets immediate attention. I mean, even when we went co-op, we made the news all over again. And there was sort of when we were in the news, like even the tone of the coverage was like there was sort of almost a joke to it, like a bunch of strippers are unionizing. Can you believe it? I guess the advice they would give to them is to not believe the idea that because they're dancers that they have any less ability to do it than anyone else. I mean, if you can hang upside down off a pole, what else are you scared of?
I think that sex workers and adult entertainment workers need to absolutely organize themselves because no one else is going to do it for them. Nobody gives a shit about them. Nobody wants to see us succeed. And if we don't pull together and organize ourselves, we're going to fall apart.
We didn't, I think, know what it really meant to do that and what that was going to do and how it was going to contrast with the lap dancing clubs and what was going on there as corporations began to buy all of the clubs. I don't think we knew, what we were really getting into, which is sort of like the best because you can really look back and say, wow, that was really incredible and stunning. And I'm so glad we're still talking about it and that we can use it as proof and as a springboard and say, we've done it before. We can do this again.